Beneath the flagstones, where 1 million cameras click each year, the ground was sealed for 2,000 years. Above them stood the treasury, 40 meters of rose sandstone cut inward, not built outward. Tourists assume the building held treasure, yet it never did, and its single bare chamber holds no gold or hidden vault. For 2 millennia, something complete waited 2 meters below the courtyard, photographed above and untouched below. In 2024, archaeologists lifted those flagstones and found what had not moved since the Nabataeans placed it. Nearly every other tomb at Petra was emptied in antiquity, but this one remained undisturbed. Inside, people still lay as placed, with bronze and iron and pottery beside them, and one still held a cup. The building millions know as empty had never been empty underneath. You reach Petra through the Sick, more than 1 kilometer long with walls 80 meters high and places 3 meters apart. At the far end, a slit opens and the treasury fills the gap, the only entrance into the basin. In 1812, a Swiss scholar heard rumors of a ruined city hidden in the mountains. No European had entered it for centuries because local tribes did not guide strangers. Johann Ludwig Burckhardt dressed as a pilgrim called Sheikh Ibrahim and said he would sacrifice at Aaron's tomb above the city. His guide led him through the Sick, where he had minutes to look before the guide grew suspicious. He left that evening and wrote 12 pages dated August 22nd describing the carvings and scale. 33 years later, an Oxford student who had never traveled near the desert won a prize poem about Petra. John William Bergen had never visited, yet he fixed its name as a rose-red city half as old as time. The people who cut Petra were not pharaohs, but merchants known as the Nabataeans. From the 4th century BC, they controlled frankincense and myrrh roads from South Arabia to the Mediterranean. Rome burned that resin by the ton, alongside spices and bitumen, and Petra sat where those routes met. That position paid for stone, more than 600 facades cut inward rather than built upward. They spoke Arabic, but wrote in Aramaic letters that shifted over centuries into the Arabic alphabet. Every Arabic newspaper still carries that hand, a direct line from desert carvers to modern readers. A caravan might bring 200 camels, each carrying 40 kilos of frankincense worth more than gold. One caravan could pay for a facade, and 4 centuries of traffic paid for a city. The treasury is likely a royal tomb from the 1st century AD for King Aratus IV, though scholars debate its use. What matters is the error. Visitors see treasure where builders meant a tomb. That city needed daily water for an estimated 20 to 30,000 people at its peak, a figure that remains an estimate. Petra has no permanent river, and the Sick itself was the bed of Wadi Musa. Winter rain on bare hills flashed through that crack, and in the 1st century BC, a flood tore through it. The Nabataeans gave the water another path by cutting an 88-meter tunnel straight through rock into Wadi Mudlam. At the Sick entrance, they built a dam, cut channels, and laid clay pipes along the cliffs to carry drinking water. Cisterns and reservoirs stored months of rain, and you can still see the cuttings on the stone today. The tunnel, silted for 2,000 years, was cleared in 2000 and still carries water when it rains. In 1964, engineers rebuilt the dam on the Nabataean line after a modern flood killed people in the Sick. Picture the labor of iron picks on sandstone, 88 meters by hand without explosives, the work that let a desert city live. The treasury looks made for gold, and Bedouin legend said a pharaoh hid wealth in the urn 40 meters up. Men fired rifles to crack that urn, and you still see the pits. The urn is solid stone, and the name Al-Khazneh means treasury because of that rumor. Inside the building is plain, a single bare chamber with no pillars and no hidden stash, the ornament only outside. That mismatch breeds stories of a lost city and cursed treasure. Petra was not a vanished mystery, but a working city that taxed, stored, and buried. Climb 800 rock-cut steps above the center, and the monastery opens beyond the ridge. Ad-Dir is larger than the treasury, though plainer, and most visitors never make the climb. If you think Petra is one facade, you have seen a door and missed the house. Almost every tomb opened in the last 200 years was empty, looted in antiquity. When a courtyard looked solid, no one guessed what was sealed below it. Under Rome, Petra did not vanish but changed hands when Emperor Trajan annexed the kingdom in 106 AD as Arabia Petraea. The capital moved north to Basra in what is now Syria, yet Petra stayed inhabited. Beyond the treasury, cut into the left slope, is the theater. The Nabataeans first cut it under King Aretas IV for 3,000 seats. The Romans enlarged it to 8,500, slicing through older tombs to add rows. In the upper rows you still see facades cut in half, tomb first and seats second. The cliffs were so full of the dead the living had to cut through them for plays. 8,500 seats for a city of perhaps 20 to 30,000 is a startling ratio. That estimate means one seat for every 3 or 4 residents, a small town with a stadium. Even then, the stone rested on quiet infrastructure, channels and pipes storing winter rain for summer. Then the ground shook on May 19, 363 AD. An earthquake followed by a sharp aftershock that ran from Galilee to the desert. In Petra, columns fell, houses dropped, and the theater cracked. A bishop in Jerusalem wrote a letter that survives, saying nearly half of Petra was destroyed. Digging confirms that account, yet what the shaking broke out of sight mattered more than fallen walls. The water system failed as pipes sheared, channels clogged, reservoirs split, and the dam leaked. A desert city without stored water has no summer, and though repairs were made, Petra did not empty the next morning. By 447, the urn tomb had been turned into a church, and 2 more churches followed in the next century. Trade had already shifted to ships and northern caravans through Palmyra, taking traffic Petra once owned. For 400 years, the city faded rather than fell, a slow unraveling after the water system broke. There was no single cursed night. For centuries, Petra was known only to nearby Bedouin while Europe forgot it. Then fame returned without rebuilding, as UNESCO inscribed Petra as a World Heritage Site in 1985. In 2007, a global poll of 100 million votes named it one of the new 7 wonders. 18 years earlier, a film had fixed its image, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in 1989. On screen, the Treasury guards the Holy Grail behind a stone door, yet the crew filmed only the facade at Petra. The interior was a set built in England, since at Petra there is only a small bare room behind the columns. Yet the film captured a true feeling, the shock of turning the last bend of the sick and seeing symmetry burst open. After 1989, that feeling was shared by millions, with around 1 million people a year walking the kilometer to take the same photograph. They stand on flagstones in the plaza that had never been lifted, a floor that looked finished and was not. August 2024 brought heat above 40 degrees, yet the team came not to hunt treasure, but to stop the next flood. The Petra Authority had asked for help to control water around the treasury. Geophysicist Richard Bates of the University of St. Andrews led the survey with ground-penetrating radar and electromagnetic conductivity sensors. He tested the courtyard and plaza and wadi they drain into. The scans showed rectangular voids aligned in the ground, mirroring 2 tombs Jordan's Department of Antiquities had found in 2003 opposite the treasury. A dig was planned with that department and the American Center of Research. The tomb below was intact, and 12 skeletons lay inside complete and undisturbed for 2,000 years. With them were bronze, iron, ceramic vessels, one skeleton still holding a ceramic cup. Headlines called it a holy grail, though it was not, while almost every other tomb at Petra had been looted, and this one had not. 2,000 years under a floor crossed daily, the burial stayed sealed and whole. The point is not only what was found, but where it was found. Only a fraction of Petra has been excavated, and no agreed number exists for how much remains. No one can say 10% or 30% with confidence, and the rock still hides more. The tunnel that still moves winter floods was only cleared in 2000, after 2,000 years of silt. The dam you lean on was rebuilt on a Nabataean line in 1964. The city Burckhardt saw for minutes now hosts visitors who make the same turn out of the sick and feel the same opening. They carry home the rose photograph, and now they carry another detail worth repeating. The treasury was never a treasury, and the urn at the top is solid stone pitted with bullets. The city did not vanish in a night, but lost its water and faded over centuries. And under its photographed empty building, 12 neighbors still lay together as left.